Charlie. You know, I pretty much speak with an Australian accent anyway. And then for this film, they told me the way I spoke wasn't Australian enough, so they made me, I pissed off all of Australia. I'm glad it's appreciated.
You were on EastEnders for way too long.
I know. One of you bitches needs a leash. Any others?
What was your favorite detail of your costume?
Of my costume? Of my drive suit or of my
your
civvies?
Like fatigues or whatnot? Weird kind of detail or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff that I liked about it. The boots were the best. They were handmade, so they were vicious and they cut your feet to ribbons. The Mad Max boots. They had the giant metal plate on there. I just walk up behind Hunnam and just all the time. It was great. They were really, really cool boots. And when you put those on, you felt like you were strapping into a Jaeger before anything else. And then, of course, in the actual giant suit, my favourite bit was the pee flap, because for the first 2 days of being in the compod, that flap wasn't there. And it was like to go and take a pee was an hour. Getting in and out of that thing. So when they added that pee flap on day 3...
Okay, so you and Robert Maillet share a name. Was there ever like any on-set confusion or anything, or is he just like too tall to like be missed or confused with?
I think you'd have to be blind or stupid. Robert, he was big. He's 7'3", 300 plus pounds. He's a really, 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 really big guy and gentle as you can be. There was never any confusion. There was confusion with Max Martini and Max the Bulldog. Come on, Max. He knows his place.
Speaking of confusion, you and Charlie Hunnam look a lot alike. Was there any... I know Idris called you the wrong name in an interview.
Did he?
Yeah, he called you Charlie.
Charlie and I were never mistaken. Me and Diego got confused a couple of times. But no, Guillermo actually cast me and Charlie as brothers in another movie once a long time ago. So there's always been something there. If you saw us in person, we don't look alike. He's really... I mean, I'm a big, scary guy and he's a skinny, handsome chap. So he's blonde with a beard and Jackson, whatever it is in the show. And I'm a fairy when I'm not here. So it's... Seriously, no, there was no confusion there.
Well, thanks.
What part of England did you grow up in?
Brighton? Manchester?
God no, Birmingham.
Birmingham? Birmingham?
From Brighton.
Hey?
You can't say something when you're from Brighton.
Why not? Brighton's the best part of England.
Good save, good save.
Yeah, thank you. And we're higher up in the league in the football, but that's not right. So, yeah, any others?
Okay, in your final scene with Max the Bulldog, was the emotion real?
They were real tears. There was no tear stick involved. It was actually, it was a really good scene. Because Guillermo had this, this is where the genius of Guillermo kind of comes into it, because I didn't have a scene without the dog. And it was really hard to work doing serious stuff when there's a... and you have to pick him up, and if you pick him up... Here's the thing, when you had to pick up Max the Bulldog, you had to grab him by the balls to support them, because they were so big. You had to support them, lift them. So it became very distracting working with him. And I said to Guillermo, I said, look man, can I just... This is a really heavy, serious scene. I said, can I just have one scene without the dog? And he made a couple of really great points. The first one was, you're such an asshole that you can't hate somebody who loves a dog.
Yeah.
And Max the Bulldog was Chuck's redeeming quality. And then there was, there's a lot of stuff that got cut from the film. You saw one of the scenes in the deleted scenes of me and my dad arguing. But there was a lot of stuff about how we didn't communicate ever, and we communicated all our angst and love through the dog. And then, you know, after 8 hours of crying my eyes out doing this scene, and, you know, thinking, nailed this. Guillermo walks in, and he just says, when you kneel down to say goodbye to the dog, imagine you are kneeling before your father for forgiveness. And I was, Max Martini just went, oh! And that was when we realised that he knew what he was doing. Yeah. Any others?
I'm sorry, but what was just your favorite part about being a part of this movie?
My favourite part about being a part of this movie. My favourite part about being a part of this movie. It's a deeply personal thing, I think. I mean, obviously, there was a lot about the film that meant a lot to work with Guillermo again. Was you know, to finally do a film with him was a big deal. But for me, it was. If those of you who know anything about my career, if you do at all, this was my first lead role in a movie, and a kid from nowhere that comes from where I've come from. And having had to walk away from a big movie before, never thinking I would get that day. Going to London, my home city where I lived for many years, taking my mum and dad, who were in their late 70s, to a movie premiere that I was in. Aww. That was the kind of like the whole point. Any others?
So I just want to talk about your fight with Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Because like I heard he broke your nose.
He did break my nose. He did break my nose. Charlie got injured during the rehearsals for that, so he didn't have as much time to learn it. And I trained as a stuntman for years, so it was very easy for me to do. And then it was 3 days of fighting doing that scene. And you know, there's a scene where Charlie knocks out my knees, and I had bruises, my legs were black, and then a couple of times he punched me full on the face when he got his range wrong. That was fine as well. But there's a couple of awesome sections near the end as well. There's a bit where I come swinging in and he's just blocking everything. And originally the fight was about 8 times longer, and he was slapping me in the face, knocking slap like that the other way. And they couldn't get it to work, so I just said, slap me. And 3 days of him slapping me, and it didn't even make it into the film. You'll see it on the behind the scenes stuff, like Charlie just, like, we're talking to Guillermo, and he just goes, you know when I slap Rob like this, bang, and then I chase him around. But yeah, the bit where he steps up, swings over and does that, he was wearing a big steel toe cap boot, and he kicked me right across the face, which I, came up with blood pouring down my face and my eye weeping. I'm good. And there was a big, my character, they'd already put a scar across here from where he punched me. And we go to the end of the makeup truck at the end of the night and they're trying to wipe it off. And they realised that Charlie had actually cut me in the exact same place as my character. I was very lucky. But that was probably my most enjoyable 3 days of filming. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to say a couple of things that I don't know. So I don't know why the sword was a last resort, if anyone's going to ask me that. If there's any other questions, I'm sure I can answer a lot of the technical ones, but